the Principality of Sealand, the country that refused to sink. History is usually about empires, wars, and kings with very large castles. But every once in a while, history takes a strange turn and parks itself on a rusty concrete platform in the middle of the ocean. This is the story of the Principality of Sealand, a country so small it could lose a game of hide-and-seek with 2 tennis courts, yet so stubborn it has survived for more than half a century. Sealand is not recognized by any country on Earth. It has no airport, no trees, and no Starbucks. And yet it has a flag, royal constitution, a national motto, a national anthem, its own currency, sports teams, and enough drama to fill several seasons of reality TV. Welcome to the smallest nation in the world. A war fought with an identity crisis. Sealand did not start as a dream of freedom or a bold political movement. It started as a military emergency. During World War II, Britain built a series of sea forts in the North Sea to defend against German aircraft. One of these forts was called Ruff's Tower. It was basically 2 giant concrete legs stuck into the seabed, holding up a steel platform loaded with anti-aircraft guns. It was gray, ugly, and extremely serious. After the war ended, Britain packed up its soldiers and left. Ruff's Tower was abandoned, forgotten, and left to rust in the cold sea air. For years, it sat there doing nothing, just a lonely concrete island with no country to belong to. That turned out to be a big mistake. Enter Roy Bates, pirate, rebel, prince. In the 1960s, Britain had a problem. Young people wanted rock music. The government did not. The result was pirate radio, illegal radio stations, broadcasting pop songs from ships and offshore platforms. One of these radio rebels was Roy Bates, a former British Army major with a strong personality and zero interest in following boring rules. He ran a pirate radio station and was constantly chased by the authorities. When new laws made pirate radio illegal, Roy Bates did not give up. Instead, he went bigger. In 1967, he moved into the abandoned Ruff's Tower, which at the time sat just outside Britain's territorial waters. Then he did something most people would never even joke about. He declared it a new country. Congratulations, you're a princess. On September 2, 1967, Roy Bates stood on a rusty sea fort and announced the birth of the Principality of Sealand. He named himself Prince Roy, and because timing matters, he declared his wife Joan to be Princess Joan as a birthday present. Most people buy flowers. Roy Bates created a nation. The family raised a flag, wrote a national motto, E Mare Libertas, from the sea, freedom, and announced to the world that Sealand was independent. Britain did not send congratulations. In fact, Britain mostly sighed. But Sealand was not joking. Warning shots and courtroom drama. Not long after Sealand declared independence, British officials tried to ignore it. That worked until it didn't. When British vessels came too close, Roy's teenage son, Michael Bates, fired warning shots into the air. This led to Michael being taken to court in England on firearms charges. Here's where history gets weird. The British court ruled that it had no jurisdiction over Ruff's Tower. Because it was outside British waters at the time, the case was dismissed. To Sealand, this was huge. They saw it as proof, at least in spirit, that Britain had admitted Sealand was not British territory. It wasn't official recognition, but it was close enough to frame and hang on the wall. Sealand was still standing. The Great Coup of 1978, yes, with helicopters. In the late 1970s, Sealand faced its biggest threat yet, a hostile takeover. A group of German and Dutch businessmen decided, They wanted Sealand for themselves. They invited Prince Roy to Austria for business talks. While he was away, mercenaries stormed the platform by helicopter and took Michael Bates hostage. What followed sounds like a movie, but it actually happened. Michael escaped, returned with help, and launched a pre-dawn counterattack to retake the platform. The invaders were captured. One of them was charged with treason against Sealand and held until foreign diplomats stepped in to negotiate his release. Yes, real diplomats negotiated with a country made of concrete and rust. Sealand survived the coup. Life in the smallest nation. At its largest, Sealand had around 50 people living on it. Today, it usually has one permanent resident, a caretaker who handles maintenance, security, customs, and basically everything else. Life on Sealand is not glamorous. Fresh water comes from rain. Power comes from generators, wind or solar panels. Food is shipped in by boat. The sea is loud, the weather is brutal, and the walls are always trying to rust. The platform itself seems determined to destroy itself. Storms never stop. Salt eats everything. Fires have broken out more than once, including a major blaze in 2006 that nearly ended Sealand's story altogether. And yet, Sealand continues. A nation goes digital, the world's first data fortress. In the early 2000s, Sealand took an unexpected turn into the future. A company called Have & Co. planned to turn Sealand into the world's first data fortress, a sovereign safe haven for internet servers beyond the reach of government control. For a brief moment, this tiny sea platform looked like a cyberpunk prophecy. Concrete instead of glass, salt air instead of air conditioning, digital freedom guarded by rust and waves. Legal pressure, technical problems, and Sealand's ongoing battle with fire eventually ended the project, but the ambition was perfectly on brand. Yes, Sealand has sports teams. Every country needs sports, even one the size of 2 tennis courts. Sealand has national sports teams, including football, soccer, competing in non-FIFA leagues and friendly matches. The Sealand flag has been carried to Mount Everest, and athletes have represented the nation in martial arts, endurance swimming, and extreme events. For a country with one caretaker, that's impressive commitment. A national anthem with no words. Most national anthems are long, emotional, and full of lyrics nobody remembers. Sealand's anthem is different. It's called E Mare Libertas, and it has no lyrics at all. According to Sealanders, freedom doesn't need words. Music alone is enough. It may be the only national anthem. You can't sing, and somehow that feels exactly right. Sealand today, a government just offshore. Today, Sealand is quieter, but it still exists. The platform is usually occupied by a caretaker, while the Bates family, led by Prince Michael, runs the government mostly from the United Kingdom. In a strange twist, Sealand is now something like a government in exile, except exile is only a few miles away by boat. Sealand still issues stamps, coins, and its own currency. The Sealand dollar, officially pegged 1-to-1 with the US dollar. They still fly the flag. They still issue titles. They still refuse to disappear. The smallest nation with the biggest rules. For years, Sealand issued its own passports, treating them with the seriousness of any major country. But when international criminals began abusing them, Sealand did something few nations would dare. It canceled every single passport, including its own. It was a small nation making a very big point. Even a country made of rust and hope knows when to protect its honor. Want to join the rebellion? You can't move to Sealand. There's barely enough room for the caretaker, his tools, and whatever appliance hasn't rusted through this week. But Sealand does welcome supporters. The Principality sells official noble titles, allowing you to become a lord, lady, baron, or baroness of Sealand. This is now Sealand's main source of income, helping fund maintenance, repairs, and survival. No castle required, no land taxes, just a title, a certificate, and bragging rights. It's the perfect gift for someone who has everything, except a country. The nation that wouldn't go away. In the end, the Principality of Sealand is less about size and more about stubbornness. It is proof that history doesn't always belong to the powerful. Sometimes it belongs to the weird, the determined, and the people who look at an abandoned sea fort and think, why not? Sealand shouldn't exist, and yet it does.
It's time to study new words in context. 1. Principality, meaning a country or state ruled by a prince or princess. Example: Sealand calls itself a principality because it is ruled by Prince Michael. 2. Mercenaries, meaning soldiers who are paid to fight, usually for money, not loyalty to a country. Example: the businessmen hired mercenaries to take control of Sealand during the coup. 3. Treason, meaning the crime of betraying one's country or government. Example: one attacker was charged with treason against Sealand after the failed coup. 4. Cyberpunk, meaning a style or idea combining advanced technology with a rough, rebellious future. Example: turning Sealand into a data fortress felt like a cyberpunk dream. 5. On-brand, meaning something that perfectly matches a person's or group's usual style or identity. Example: starting a data fortress was strange, but very on-brand for Sealand. 6. Government in exile, meaning a government that operates from outside its own territory. Example: Sealand is run as a government in exile from the UK. 7. Less about size and more about stubbornness, meaning success or importance comes from determination, not physical size. Example: Sealand proves that history is less about size and more about stubbornness.
Comprehension questions. 1. What is the Principality of Sealand? Answer: the Principality of Sealand is a self-declared micronation, built on an abandoned World War II sea fort in the North Sea. 2. Why is Sealand often described as being the size of 2 tennis courts? Answer: because its total land area is only about 0.0004 square kilometers, making it extremely small, roughly the size of 2 tennis courts. 3. What was Ruff's Tower originally used for? Answer: Ruff's Tower was built during World War II as part of Britain's coastal defense system, to protect against German air attacks. 4. Why was Ruff's Tower important to Sealand's claim of independence? Answer: because it was abandoned after the war, and located outside British territorial waters at the time, allowing Roy Bates to claim it was not under British control. 5. Who was Roy Bates, and why is he important to Sealand's history? Answer: Roy Bates was a former British Army major and pirate radio operator, who founded Sealand and declared it an independent nation in 1967. 6. Why did Roy Bates declare Sealand on September 2, 1967? Answer: he declared Sealand on that date because it was his wife Joan's birthday, and he crowned her princess as part of the declaration. 7. What legal decision helped Sealand continue to exist? Answer: a British court ruled it had no jurisdiction over Ruff's Tower, which Sealand interpreted as proof it was not British territory. 8. What happened during the Great Coup of 1978? Answer: businessmen hired mercenaries who took control of Sealand by helicopter and kidnapped Michael Bates, but he later escaped and led a counterattack to retake the platform. 9. Why was the coup of 1978 especially unusual? Answer: because it involved helicopters, hostage-taking, armed retaking of the platform, and foreign diplomats negotiating with Sealand afterward. 10. Why is living on Sealand described as difficult? Answer: Because of harsh weather, limited space, constant rust. Lack of natural fresh water, isolation, and dangers like storms and fires. 11. What major disaster occurred on Sealand in 2006? Answer. A major fire broke out in 2006, nearly destroying the platform and contributing to the failure of later projects. 12. What was Haven Co., and why did it fail? Answer. Haven Co. was a plan to turn Sealand into the world's first data fortress. But it failed due to legal pressure, technical problems, and damage from fires. 13. How does Sealand show that it takes its identity seriously? Answer. It has a constitution, a currency, sports teams, a national anthem, stamps, noble titles, and strict decisions like canceling all passports. 14. What is unique about Sealand's national anthem? Answer. The anthem, E Mare Libertas, has no lyrics, symbolizing that freedom does not need words. 15. How does Sealand mainly support itself today? Answer. Sealand supports itself by selling noble titles such as Lord, Lady, Baron, or Baroness, which fund maintenance and repairs. 16. Why do you think Sealand continues to exist, even without international recognition? Answer. Because of persistence, symbolism, and the founders' belief that independence comes from action and commitment, not permission.